When most gardeners think about keeping their soil in good shape, the first thing that comes to mind is crop rotation. It's been passed down for centuries as the tried and true way to prevent nutrient depletion and keep diseases at bay. But here's the truth. Crop rotation isn't always practical, especially for small gardens, or those of us who have specific crops we love to grow every season. I wanted something more reliable, something that would keep my soil alive and thriving, even if I planted tomatoes in the same bed 2 years in a row. After years of trial and error, I found a stronger way to maintain soil health that doesn't depend on constantly moving crops around. Today, I want to share with you exactly how I do it, step by step, so you can bring life back to your soil without worrying about complicated planting schedules. Building soil health starts with feeding microbes, not just plants. One of the biggest reasons crop rotation works is because it gives soil microbes a chance to balance themselves naturally. But instead of relying on long cycles, I focus on feeding those microbes directly. Living soil teems with bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and countless other organisms that form a web of life. When they are nourished, your plants automatically thrive. I've shifted away from thinking only in terms of plant nutrition and started asking what my soil biology needs. That's when things started changing. My yields improved, my plants resisted disease, and my garden stayed productive year after year without the hassle of rotation. Adding compost is gardening 101, but if you stop there, you're leaving a lot of potential untapped. I take compost one step further by blending it with biochar and worm castings before adding it to the beds. The biochar acts like a sponge, holding nutrients in place instead of letting them leach away, while the worm castings deliver concentrated biology and humic acids that supercharge the soil. This combination not only feeds plants immediately, but also sets up long-term fertility by giving microbes a stable home. The soil becomes more resilient, drains better, and holds moisture longer. All things crop rotation alone cannot guarantee. One of the strongest ways to replace crop rotation is by never leaving the soil bare. I make sure there is always something growing, whether it's food for me or food for the soil. In the off-season, I plant clover, rye, or buckwheat, depending on the time of year. These plants keep roots in the ground, pump sugars into the soil food web, and prevent erosion. When I cut them down, I leave the biomass right on the surface as mulch, which breaks down slowly and feeds the soil over time. This continuous cycle of growth and decay mimics natural ecosystems, where bare soil is almost non-existent. Another piece of the puzzle is encouraging mycorrhizal fungi. These beneficial fungi form partnerships with plant roots, extending their reach deep into the soil and accessing nutrients and water that roots alone cannot. By adding mycorrhizal inoculants at planting time and reducing soil disturbance, I allow these fungal networks to expand every season. Over time, they knit the soil together into a living fabric that supports crops regardless of whether I rotate them or not. The fungi act as a buffer, making soil ecosystems more resilient to pests, diseases, and even weather extremes. On top of all this, I rely heavily on mulching with organic material. Leaves, straw, wood chips, and even shredded prunings. A thick mulch layer regulates soil temperature, conserves moisture, and slowly decomposes to feed microbes. It's nature's own way of protecting the soil. When you keep this protective blanket in place, you're creating conditions that mimic a forest floor, where fertility constantly builds instead of depleting. That means I don't have to depend on strict rotation cycles because the soil is always covered, always fed, and always biologically active. The longer I've gardened this way, the clearer it has become that building a living soil system outperforms crop rotation. Instead of rearranging crops year after year, I've created a soil environment that can handle repetition. My tomatoes grow in the same beds season after season, and instead of suffering from nutrient loss or soil-borne disease, they thrive. That's because the soil food web is balanced, the organic matter is constantly replenished, and the microbes and fungi are doing the heavy lifting. So if you're tired of struggling with crop rotation plans that never quite fit your space or your preferences, I encourage you to focus on building soil health directly. Feed the microbes, keep the soil covered, add fungal allies, and let organic matter do the work. Thank you for joining me here on Botanical Bliss. If this guide was helpful, make sure to subscribe so you never miss future soil building secrets, and share this with your gardening friends who are ready to break free from old rules and build thriving soil the smarter way.